and welcome to another edition of Friday XTREND. I'm your host and ex-girl Tegoroje, and with me this morning I have Blessing and Ogaga. Good morning, Ogaga.
Good morning, Tega.
Good morning, Blessing.
Good morning, Tega. So good and so happy to be here with you again.
Thank you. Okay, let's quickly dive into our trends for this week. I was starting off with hashtag GTB Bank. So GTB was trending basically on Twitter this week because of someone said that hackers stole GTB websites and intercepted customers' data in massive phishing operation. But some people came out to say that their domains probably expired, and then maybe they were not fast enough to get it back, and some other fraudulent people quickly bought the domain from them. So like Nigeria has had a lot to say, because when it comes to money, everybody's going to be angry when it comes to their hard-earned money, so in this economy. So let's read some of the tweets. So someone said, hello at GTB Bank. It will be useful to put out a statement about the situation with your website. There are a few transactions that are not enabled on the GT World app. Also, people are telling your story for you on X. This is a textbook error. Fix it. Someone else said, is it that someone abandoned their primary responsibility to focus on hawking of shares? It appears GTB Bank's domain expired and someone bought it before they could renew it, or is it just a DNS issue? Because some of their subdomains still work. Another ex-user said, dear GTB Bank, it seems like you guys are tired of this banking business. What is this rubbish you are doing? After disturbing us to buy shares, you still don't want us to have access to our money. Total madness at this point. Another ex-user said, the worst part is that they are not even communicating with customers. This can only happen in a crazy country. God forbid. So apparently, before this whole situation happened to them, they were selling some of their shares to their customers. So like that is also instigating a lot of anger.
Yeah. The banking system in Nigeria has to do better.
Yeah.
It's not just about GTB Bank. There are other banks that every day when you come on X, you go on different social media platforms, you see Nigerians complaining bitterly about it. Either they're complaining about the network, the slow network, or they're complaining about their inability to access their funds, or in some cases, like last one we saw, a bank is being sold and then the customers have to wait for a long time to get their money. So I think the banking system, the CBN, has to look at how to make the banking system in Nigeria work better. It's really embarrassing to say this, that customers have to come on X to start complaining, and then the banks are not fast enough. I don't know. They should have a public relations department in these banks. They have a customer desk. When you go to the bank, you see the customer desk. What I say unit. The public relations officers in these banks should do a better job. They shouldn't wait for people to come and start dragging the banks before they come out to give a statement, even if they have no idea on how to resolve the issue. But at least come out and communicate. There's nothing like coming out to communicate to your customers to let them know that you're experiencing a challenge and it will be resolved soon. That's what Nigerians want to see. Don't just keep them mute. Don't just keep mute and not say anything. And these customers, when it comes to money, humans generally are concerned about their money because they want to know what's the state of their finance. So these banks should do better. They should really, really do better. I've heard of people talk about losing their money in banks. Hackers hack into their phones. I don't know how they do it, but then take away their money. And I'm wondering, what are these banks doing to safeguard customers' money? I can't take my money to the bank and then my money is not safe. So these banks should do better, really.
Yeah, it's very sad when things like this happen, especially the silent treatment from these corporate bodies in this situation, GTB, because a couple of them, they also run their enterprises outside the country. And I tell you the truth, if such happens outside the country, they are swift to respond. Yeah. But when it comes to Nigeria, because Nigeria seems like Banana Republic where anything goes, they just feel like they don't owe you any response and all of that. It's totally terrible. So I think that, like one of the users said, it's not right that it's now on X that people get to tell their stories for them. So once something happens, if it's true, admit, apologize.
True.
Let the customers know that this is what you are doing to safeguard their funds. There's a vote of confidence that comes from that. Then if it's false, debunk it, that this is not true, and so that people can know that, okay, my funds are safe.
Exactly.
Because this thing brings about panic, and if not
Yeah.
properly managed, you might even lose some customers, and some persons, you might not lose them as customers per se, but you might lose some funds because people tend to transfer and all of that. So
Yes.
an official statement from the GTB is very, very much needed.
You think CBN should step in?
Yes, of course. When the bank, because CBN is the regulatory body here
Yeah.
when it comes to bank, but so when things like this happens and the GTB is not responding, the CBN should be able to issue a directive or call the GTB to order and all of that. But it's still part of the poor system and structure and accountability of the nation. So even when somebody is defaulting, it's still in the same country. You see the banks saying that they don't have funds. Meanwhile, the CBN saying they disbursed funds to them, and nobody's penalized. We don't see such. So it's like what I started with: anything goes, which is totally wrong. Which is totally wrong.
Yeah. I totally understand. Like, this is something that needs swift movement on it. So our next trend, this was something that got people talking since last week, or I think last 2 weeks for now. So it's hashtag Miss Universe Nigeria. So Chidima Vanessa Adeshina, she decided to participate in Miss Universe Nigeria after the Miss Universe Nigeria contest offered extended an invitation to her, and Silverbird also extended an invitation to her on social media. So she had accepted their invitation, and she said, okay, she's going to participate in the contest. And she also thanked those who supported her amid the bully that she faced both online and offline. But this has created another crisis on X now, because Nigeria, especially those Nigeria ladies in the contest already, they feel like, okay, why is she just entering the contest? Because she had like international bully that she didn't pass through the normal ways. So let's quickly read some of the tweets. So someone actually reposted a comment made by a Nigerian. Nigeria said, I'm sorry, this is not fair. She did not audition. So because you have international drama, you have earned your spot to compete. No, not fair at all. And of course, South Africans wanted to like ridicule this because of they felt like, okay, we're pushing this narrative that they are xenophobic, and then now Nigeria should not be Afrophobic. So the South Africans said they wanted Chidinma to participate in our country. Now they don't want her that side. But we stand our girl in these difficult times, she had our full support. And that South African said, look how xenophobic Nigeria had towards a South African participating in Miss Universe Nigeria. We really can't allow this nonsense to go on any further. We will defend Chidinma. You guys were cool with identity theft. Surely you can't allow this to bother you. Then someone posted on TikTok and said, not fair on actually proudly Nigerian participants who have never tried to manipulate their way to the top of a competition. And someone replied her, Nigeria must stop being Afrophobic and accept their own. Chidinma is Nigeria, we support her. Miss Universe Nigeria as South Africa. Someone else said, our very own Soweto-born Chidinma Zenele Onwe is about to make history. Ladies and gentlemen, the future Miss Universe Nigeria. So South Africans are trying to
be sarcastic.
Be sarcastic.
Well, for South Africans, I don't have anything to say to them. But for Nigeria, the organizers extended an invitation to her, and she accepted. I get those people who are saying she didn't go through the due process. I get their point, but they should understand that this is what happened, and Nigeria, the organizers are trying to just protect our own. She's a Nigerian, and they're trying to help her. So I think she should still go through some form of screening. They should screen her to know if she's qualified enough to participate in the pageantry, and she should be allowed to. Life sometimes life is full of twists and turns. So sometimes, for some persons, like you say, your destiny is different from mine. Well, the fact that my own journey is this way doesn't mean your journey will be that way. So Chidinma's journey is different, and I wish her the best, really.
Okay, so like lessons said, I totally understand the diversity. So I think wisdom is needed here because I understood why the organizers jumped in and took her and all of that. But same can be said why those participants, because they know what they've gone through, probably spent money and all of that, and suddenly because of a certain controversy, you are bringing somebody that didn't go through the due process, and even persons that did not even make it to the final rounds will also feel pained. Like, I even went through and they didn't take me, and this is just somebody that didn't go through what I had to go through. But I think in sports there's something they call like the wild card and all of that. I don't know if they have those rules and regulations, but I think somehow they just have to pacify those persons that got in via the due process. They have to pacify them.
But they should also understand that Chidima has gone through a process too when she was contesting for Miss South Africa.
Those are two different processes.
I know they're two different processes, but then she has been through something too. It's not
it's just like
they just picked that up from
it's just like saying because someone passed post UTME in Uniben, you are admitting the person into UI because the person has
the person is qualified. You could understand.
My point is they have to pacify them, because if we link it back to the previous thing, we should not make Nigeria a nation where anything goes, where those in power just feel like they can just impose anything. Do you understand? Everybody needs everybody, because the organizers that put this together, if they were not contestants, the program or the event won't hold. So they have to pacify. So I think they have to release a statement and say, okay, we understand your grievances, but for the sake of patriotism or whatsoever, camaraderie, just pacify them. Let's make this work. There's something I wanted to say, but I will not say it. I will not say it.
That a release statement would be enough to pacify the Nigerian participants?
It's a start. So first of all, it's not the entirety of Nigerians that they have to pacify.
Just the participants.
Yes, because those are the people that they owe these things. So they are accountable to those participants, the contestants, not the whole of entirety of Nigeria as it were. So you release a statement, address them, and probably you can even call them to a dinner and have a talk with them, feel their grievances, their pains, and all of that. So maybe you can even do a concession for them. So yes, you can do a concession for them. So for example, we realize that so in the spirit of that, so maybe they had a certain registration fee. There are different ways to make concessions and pacify them. Certain registration fee. Of course, I haven't believed that Chidima that is coming. She probably might still pay her registration.
That's what I said. She should still go through some form of screening.
Yes.
And training before she should be allowed to contest. So it won't look like they gave her the crown on a platter of gold. Like they just gave it to her. She should go through some screening. Contestants should see that she's going through some screening and made to pay whatever bill that they've been asked to pay before that. So that's settled.
Okay, so let's move on to our next trend. Our next trend is something that parents have been waiting for the past 2 weeks or a month, and that is hashtag WAEC. So, day before yesterday, WAEC released results for all West African students that took the examination, and they said basically that you can go and check your distance. But now there was a controversy when it came to WAEC in Nigeria. WAEC came out, so obviously every student, every parent don't check their results. But when it came to Ondo State, when the students tried to check their result, they saw indebted, and it caused a lot of problems because people were wondering, okay, what's going on? Only for them to find that the Ondo State government is only money to WAEC.
Wow.
Yeah, so let's read some of the tweets. So what exactly is happening in Ondo State? Students' WAEC results are still indebted, after which the state government said they approved millions months ago for registration fees. What's the problem? We need clarity at Ondo Information. And that ex-user said, results are showing that Ondo State is yet to pay WAEC fees for public school students for 2 years. Greed and power is the priority of the anti-people element. The same governor who's spending billions on transfer of player politicians. And that ex-user said, the incompetent governor of Ondo State, Mr. Lucky Ayedasiwa, recently gifted brand new SUVs to judges in the state. However, he has failed to pay the debts owed to WAEC, and the exam body has consequently withheld the results of thousands of Ondo State students. So a lot of Ondo State residents brought a lot of things to light about their governor and like saying, okay, if you could do this, you could spend millions of naira in this situation. Why not in the education of our students? People that actually took their time, read, prepared themselves, sat down for these examinations, tried their best, and then now their mates are seeing their results and like they can't see their own.
Yeah. I think Ogaga should go first. I've been going first.
Yeah.
It's a sad reality, honestly, a very, very sad reality if were to go by what's on the social media space right now. Because I cannot imagine that, and they keep telling us that youths are the leaders of tomorrow and all of that. For a nation that must progress, education is key. Education is key. So I can't, and honestly, I must commend what I did. Like, I absolutely love that. Like, for 2 years, if that's true, for 2 years you've not paid. So it's a good one. Now they have to account, because if they are also, because one of these is also saying that funds were disbursed. So where did the funds go to? So it's a situation of misplaced priorities.
Good.
Giving SUVs to judges and all of that. Meanwhile, the child of the average or poor Nigerian that could not afford a private school, public schools, and you've not paid for them. It's really, really terrible. And when you look at the budget allocation, you see huge, humongous sums for education. So where are these funds going to? Who is responsible? And it's not just a situation of calling, because if a statement is released, you see there'll be defense on that funds were disbursed and all of that. So we need heads to roll. So if they said funds were disbursed, who was meant to make that payment? Why was the payment not made? So we need to know. We need to see sanctions. People need to lose their positions to avoid situations like this.
All right, so I don't know how state governors feel, any political leader, or I don't know how they feel when they hear of some issues. Like this is really embarrassing for the Ondo State governors, the Ondo State government in general. It's very embarrassing, and like Ogaga said, it is just misplaced priority. I don't think our leaders, when they're contesting for position, I don't think they sit down to really draw their plan. I don't know if they sit down to really say, okay, what is going to be my top priority? What sector am I going to look at when I come into power? Most of them, they come and during campaigns, they tell us lies. They talk about the health sector, talk about the education, talk about creating jobs for the unemployed. But when they come into office, they're just focused on, the cost of governance, making sure that the political leaders, their political aides, and their many special assistants, they employ as much as they can, and then the cost of governance keep going high while the people languish in poverty. So I think WAEC did the right thing. That's the way to go. Since they refuse to pay, that should happen, so the whole world will know, the whole Nigeria will know that this is what is happening, and as soon as they pay, they can release the result. But that one, I totally support.
Do you think, because Ogaga said something about that we don't know what there isn't the money to do. Do you think that state government should start like telling us how these budgets, the budgets they emboss to them, how they are spent?
Yes, they do. Somehow when they come, they do. They always tell you this is how we spend the budget, but whatever they say is not what they do.
Yeah.
Most times it's not what they do, really.
Okay, so now moving on to our next trends. #Obaobini. So someone came out on X and said that with her provocation, some Igbos decided to mock the Obaobini and the entire people of Edo State on social media. Remember, this was the same way they mocked Northerners in 1996 when northern leaders were killed during the coup d'etat. So this actually started from a TikTok live that happened, and in this TikTok live, the Oba of Benin was, his face was, I think, replaced with that of a pig. Yes, and the host of this TikTok live was an Igbo person, or presumed allegedly an Igbo person, because the name there was an Igbo name. It was Ayi Anabra. So we don't know whether if this is an actual Igbo person or because anything happens in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yes. So this got a lot of people talking, especially the Yoruba people talking. So someone came out and said, Tyro, why are you crying more than Edo people? You claim Igbos are insulting Oba of Benin, but the comment is full of Yoruba people. Are you people crying more than Edo people? Get alive. And that ex-user said they are creating fake profiles with an Igbo person to insult a whole respected Oba of Benin. It is all about dirty politics and winning at all costs. An average Igbo person respects and honors the Oba of Benin. This unnecessary madness should stop. Just sad. Someone else came and said, Oba of Benin is respected by the Igbos. Igbos know their lane, they don't poke into people's businesses. The Oba of Benin is a wise man and doesn't make threats or provoke people. Yoruba Ronos should stop degrading the Yoruba race. Stop.
I don't know. This whole Nigeria thing, like someone said that if they just said the country, share the money, give us, then we'll just go our separate places. Because how the union itself, I think the union itself is still faulty till now. Honestly, packing different persons and all of that, just it's a forced marriage, it's a forced union. So that's the challenge. That's why most persons still advocate that we go back and look at the constitution, and all of that. But back to this, I think this card is one of the cards that is the divide and rule card. So it's either religion, ethnicity, or what have you. So, and that's why to a certain extent I agree with the social media regulation. And also I blame our is it National Communication Center, NCC, and all of that, these NIN people, NIMC, and all of that. I blame them because when they came out to tell us to link our NIN to our SIM cards, one of the major reasons they hammered on is for tracking. In civilized countries, developed countries, these people will be easily traced. You could hear, you see what happened with the Donald Trump issue and all of that. The person was killed on the spot, and within a couple of hours, the person's record was online on social media. How the person has donated this, what the person has done, the person's age. That's a working nation. That's how things are done. It's still in this same Nigeria. You will see bandits flaunting cash, have TikTok accounts till now. Then you have a police PRO coming out to say that they cannot apprehend all the criminals at once. What nonsense. But when it comes to protesters, you say you can track their sponsors, you will freeze their accounts. But when it comes to bandits, you cannot track them, you cannot apprehend all the criminals at once. When it comes to so-called people fighting the government, when it's time for protest, you can jam the network will slow down. But when it comes to issues like this, you cannot step in. So you see that is the system itself is corrupt, the system is compromised. So when we see things like this, because I strongly agree that anybody can come online and impersonate anybody, impersonate any ethnicity, any tribe, and want to stoke the embers and all of that. So this thing is beyond someone just coming to make a statement that Igbos must stop, Yorubas must stop doing this. No. Let's put our house in order. Be able to track. And the truth is, you see, Nigeria, when they want to work, they can work. That's the truth. When they want to work, they can work. So if they want to track somebody, they can track, they can do all of that. Okay.
For me, as we wrap up Biggest Trend on X, I'm just going to appeal. Ogaga said everything that I would love to say, so I'm just going to appeal to Nigerians. You may not be happy with how things are going on in the country. You may be clamoring for a separation, But then, what do you stand to gain if you come online and then you say something that makes the country, go, throw the country into chaos, and then there is this fight between the Igbos and the Yorubas, the Hausas and the Igbos. What do you stand to gain really? Those persons that come online, they don't have anything doing. They are jobless. They're just out there to look for trouble. So I'm going to beg, I'm going to plead with Nigerians to please stop trying to create chaos in the country. Stop going online to use your device to create problems for Nigerians, because those persons, those Yoruba people that are saying, no, Igbos must go, Igbos must go. When it starts, when the war they're looking for starts, they would run away. They won't be there to even, they won't be able to withstand it. They'll run away. And innocent people will be made to suffer. So I beg them really, they should put an end to it. They should just stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our last trend for today. Hashtag National Anthem. So the House of Representatives brought out a bill seeking 10-year prison sentence or 5 million naira fine for Nigerians who refuse to recite the national anthem and national pledge. And Nigeria had a lot to say about it, honestly. So an ex-user came out. He brought out this picture of Peter Obi and Tinubu in the same picture, where they were saying the national pledge, and Tinubu's hands were in his pocket. So the person said the man who put his hand in his pocket when the national anthem was on wants to imprison everyone for not singing his favorite soundtrack. And that ex-user said, "So not a single lawmaker in the National Assembly has the sense to push a bill that criminalizes looting of public funds with capital punishment. Instead, they want to jail Nigerians for not singing the national anthem." And that ex-user said, "Criminalizing refusal to sing national anthem is just insane to me, because Section 24 requires citizens to respect national symbols, of which the anthem is one. However, the Constitution does not compel anyone to sing it. Respect it is not equal to singing it. Where is the crime?" And thankfully, yesterday, the news came out that the Honorable Abbas Tajudem withdrew his counter subversion bill. That's the file. So he basically said, okay, let's put a pause on it. And Nigerians had a lot to say. They also said, okay, this man should step down for even attempting to dare Nigerians. Someone else said his constituency should recall him. He's not fit to represent people of Nigeria.
Yeah, I think we should just take our reaction. So Ogaga was laughing. So quickly, Ogaga,
I think it's a good one, and this is just evidence, because I've heard persons say that when I go out and I'm like, when you speak with people, what's your take on it, national issue, and they're like, if we talk, does it change anything? This is one of the evidences that it does. So let's not just allow our politicians, government officials, public office holders to get away with anything they want to. Let's always speak up. So kudos to the Nigerian people. It shows that the office of the citizen is the most powerful in the nation.
Yes, for me, I'll just say it's simple. You cannot legislate patriotism. You can't force the people to be patriotic. You can encourage them to be patriotic. You can even inspire them by the way you lead them to be patriotic, but you cannot legislate. You can't force it on them. So the House of Assembly and House of Representatives, the Senate, they should not think of ever doing such a thing in Nigeria again. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's XTREND. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Gaga. Thank you so much. So see you guys next week on another Friday's edition of XTREND. Remember, I'm your host and ex-girl, Tigoro J. Bye.